Hey everybody, you got Hobby Drifter here again. It is Tuesday, August 11th, 2020 in beautiful Tokyo, Japan. It is a hot, hot day in the city. And I'm here with a little Japanese lesson for you. The new word of the day is otonagai. It is a portmanteau of the words otona, meaning adult, and kaimono, meaning shopping. So adult shopping. No, it's not what you think. It's a word used when people, as adults usually, have enough income to buy like everything they want, like a full run of something all at once. So maybe if you buy a full run of manga, or a full box of trading cards, or every new action figure that was released on a certain day, that's otonagai. I did some otonagai a few months ago when we were first starting this quarantine lockdown thing, and I bought every single 1/144th Gundam Wing kit. As I mentioned before, I don't really know much about Gundam or care about Gundam, and I know that's weird as a geek in Japan, but it's just really never my thing. But I went to Bic Camera, and they had like the full set of, I think it's 13 Gundam Wing 1/144th scale kits, and they were cheap. You know, like the smaller kits were 528 yen, and the larger kits were 712 yen. So for US dollars, smaller kits about $5, and larger kits just under $7. So I had planned to buy the original 5 Gundams for, just to stick them on my shelf, but I saw how cheap these were, and the fact that they had the entire set in one place. I otonagai'd it, so the entire thing wound up costing me, I think less than $60, which is what one fairly nice sized kit winds up costing. And yeah, I spent the better part of a month, usually one every day or every 2 days, putting together the entire Gundam Wing 1/144th scale collection. And while I was doing that, I was watching my Gundam Wing DVDs that I bought 15, 20 years ago, and I brought them with me when I came to Japan. And I just had a whole Gundam month. This also coincided with me giving up drinking for the better part of a few months. And so instead of grabbing that Kinmugi or some shochu or super dry or what have you, I would just put on some Gundam and build a robot. And since we're still kind of in lockdown, waiting on the results of someone I know's PCR test right now to see if I can, in good conscience, go out and do anything. So I figured I would put together my thoughts on Gundam Wing and this stuff. So first up, we got the Wing Gundam. This is Hiro Yui's main character. Oh, I should point out these are from 2000. I don't know if they've been continuously in production since 2000, or if this store just had a bunch of new old stock. This is actually the second version of these. They've got the CG artwork. The first release was from 1995, and they had all anime type artwork. But I think the kits are about the same. I don't know of any major differences. If you do know if these are still in production, or if they're just stores still have them 20 years later, please let me know down in the comments. So yeah, the first ones I built were the main 5 Gundams. You got the Wing Gundam here. The Gundam Death Scythe was... I built these pretty much in order. They're all numbered from 1 to 13. So yeah, there's the Gundam Death Scythe there. Then there's the Ultron Gundam, which... So another weird thing about the show, of course, the pilot calls him Nataku the whole time, but that's never really shown up in toy form until the Endless Waltz versions. Sandrock, which I think wound up being like my favorite of the small ones. And then, of course, the Heavy Arms, which is the only one that I've put any paint on, because I've found that leaving this unpainted, just gray, was basically like the biggest sin of all of these kits. These guys are cute. And that's the best way to put them. Their heads are kind of oversized. There's the stickers on these things absolutely suck. They do not want to stay on. Obviously, they're there to keep the costs down. Again, these are under $5 each, and they take me about an hour and a half to put together. Not so long. I was using a pair of clippers to kind of get at least some of the worst burrs off of these things. But yeah, no real detail. I mean, they just, here's like the beam saber. It's just a stick. You can see here, there's nothing. There's no stickers or any colors on any of the energy weapons. I was surprised to see that there weren't a lot of reused parts outside of the soft parts. The arms, the hands, the joints. All completely new molds. And they're fun to put together. They each come with a pilot figure. Here's Duo, Hero, Wufei, all these guys. Trey. I mean, yeah, each one of these comes with a little figure, and I couldn't paint these if my life depended on it. So they're just kind of here. I might maybe try to at least do some of the hair and the costumes, and I do appreciate that they're skin colored, so you don't really have to do that. But I mean, they have the pictures in the instruction booklets where they're all painted up nicely and they just look fantastic. But it's kind of like with Warhammer stuff. It looks like sorcery to me that anyone can paint anything that small and detailed. But yeah, so of course on the boxes they show how it looks if it's all beautifully painted instead of just stickers and stuff. So yeah, you got the Wing Gundam was number 1. Number 2 was, I want to say, Death Scythe. Over here somewhere. Where is my number 2? I could have probably planned this out a little bit better. Yeah, the Shenlong Gundam was number 2. I am really looking forward to, once I get this video done, throwing away all of these boxes. That's kind of like a nerd power move to be like, oh, I don't need the packaging that this stuff came in. These are very, early 2000s. I do love the aesthetic of these, and I am keeping the instruction booklets to keep some of this artwork. Here's Heavy Arms, which if you were a Transformers fan around the time that Gundam Wing came out, you probably bought this and tried to repaint it into Optimus Prime because of the opening chest plates here. And then Sandrock, which is a very cool looking robot, and probably the easiest one to make. There's no real, the head is not tiny, so you can get the stickers on it. It's got the full beard there instead of the little, Egyptian, chin dealy. This arm part isn't as, complicated as even, the wings and what have you on the other ones. But yeah, if you compare, this where it's all, brilliant whites and what have you to the actual model kit where everything is just kind of gray. Yeah, I would like to see this painted up nicely, even though probably beyond my skill level at the moment. So yeah, these are the original 5 Gundams. I remember watching the TV show, when I was a kid and I didn't really get it. And I watched it again as I was building these, and I still don't really get it. None of the main cast are in any way sympathetic characters. Hero is just awful, and we never really get a reason for it. Duo is at least fun, but he's also, maniac. And then you get Catra, Ufei, and Troa, who don't get a whole lot of development, and when they do get some, it's very, whatever. Catra goes completely nuts and just starts, killing everything. Wu Fei is your typical anime. It's like, I just want to fight and get stronger, which he does, but it kind of it's very anticlimactic when he gets what he wants. And Troa is just there. He's just like they try to give him a little bit more backstory in Endless Waltz, and that's just very like needle scratch. So let me get these guys out of here one more time. Yeah, here's the wing. These stickers just they peel. The orb, like the power core or whatever stickers on the chest are just awful. Like I hate having to like wrap stickers around things, and man, this whole line was very, just wrap your stickers around places that should obviously be painted. I'm not knocking these things like at all, though. I mean, they're a blast to put together, and for kids, this is who they were for. They were for children. They're an awesome deal for the money. Less than $5 each for like main characters in an anime series that you get to spend time putting together. Yeah, I can't say a single bad thing about these other than 20 years later as an adult, there are better options. But I mean, there were better options 20 years ago. There were the 1/100 scale figures, which are not as readily available, and I did not grab those. Might at some point, because I really do enjoy putting these things together. Beyond the main 5 characters here, you also had the Talgis, which is very fiddly. I got some kind of wonky joints on this guy. He does not want to stand very well. The Mercurius, which also does not like to, the joints are very, very finicky. Does not want to just stand. And the V8, which is basically the Mercurius, but in blue. This is, of course, anytime you get like a toy line like this, there's always going to be like repaints. And yeah, the Mercurius and the V8 are basically repaints of each other. Back when these came out, there was a tendency to make the limbs basically just left half, right half, sandwich them together. So even when I would clip them, you can still see like the burrs on a lot of these things here. The Talgis here has just a ridiculously complex bit here with the boosters. I think there's probably more parts in these boosters than in the entire rest of the figure itself. And again, you get the sticker that does not like to stay on. It's a folded sticker. This logo is molded into the thing, so if you wanted to paint it, looks cool. It's got like the whole like white knight look, but again, you got the sticker that goes over the mohawk and what have you. The V8 and the Mercurius, again, same basic mold with a few differences to like the crown and the weapons, and there was a storyline reason for that, and that's kind of like when the show started to get weird. Like Troa and Hiro just kind of not join Oz, but like it's known that they're Gundam pilots, but also they're testing out the suit, and it's the reactions to it are very weird. The Talgis gets a lot of love in the fan community, at least as far as like Gundam Wing goes, which, as I have talked about, in passing before, is not looked upon terribly well by Gundam fans, especially fans who were big into the franchise before that series came out. Similar like with Power Rangers, where the figure where the series came out in Japan years before, and then like the introduction to the Western market was something in the middle of the series. So for me, you know, Gundam Wing was how I was introduced to the franchise, and also kind of where I went like, yeah, okay, that's cool, but not really my thing. Again, each of these things were about $5 each. They came with pilot figures. You got the, you know, trays, and then different costumed hero and Troa. The Talgis is, I think, the only other figure except for the Wing Gundam that got a real grade release, like from this series. So I mean, there's no you know, heavy arms or what have you. But if you did want to get this particular figure in a really nice updated version at this scale, there's a really nice real grade version that is, I want to say it goes for about $20, $25. So yeah, this one you could probably pass on to get the newer one, but again, for under $5, can't really complain about that. Here's the boxes for these. Here's the Talgis, and he is buff. Like, look at that chunky boy. He is just absolutely huge. And you know, there's Zex Marquise, who is I don't know. My wife says that he doesn't hold a candle to Shah, but I mean, it's very clearly still Shah as far as like the look goes. Oh, very, very chunky. The Mercurius here. And the V8. I have not read the Gundam Wing manga. Maybe it's a little bit more coherent. This whole thing with the Mercurius and the V8, that whole like arc, doesn't really go anywhere. There's, I mean, to me, it just seems like there's a lot of filler in the middle of the series. Like, you know, there's the hook, you know, where, you know, all the pilots show up at the beginning and then they don't know each other and they fight each other and what have you. And then it just kind of wanders until what I think is towards the end of the series, where most of the show you can just kind of it was finding its way, and I don't know that I like that. But next we got the updated Gundams. Here's the Wing Gundam Zero, which, again, probably I bought this when I was in high school because it just looked like a transformer. It's got those beautiful reds and blues and greens on it. And then the Death Scythe Hell, which I remember thinking, oh wow, that's edgy. It's hell. I mean, this guy is really cool. And I'm really surprised that some of these chin stickers have not fallen off in the month since I've put them on. A lot of tech stuff going on here with like the folding wings, and this piece here is in particular very, very intricate. And I would love to see that like painted up nicely by someone who knows what they're doing. And then finally the last of the big ones in the set. One of my personal favorites, what do they call this one? Ultron Gundam, yeah. So the other one was the Shenlong. I mean, talk about your glow up between, you know, this thing where like it's mostly unpainted and it's just blah, to like this thing where like the color separation is much nicer. The sticker placement is, I mean, it's really, really nice, this guy. And it's like this emerald teal turquoise type color. This might be my pick for the set for the nicest one, and the one that I most don't want to screw up if I do decide to paint them. So these are the ones that cost like under $7 each, and very, very clearly just made to sell more toys. The Death Scythe Hell is just, we're just gonna upgrade your Gundam, and same deal with the Ultron Gundam over there. The Wing Zero had like the weirdest arc, like in the entire series. Like it's not an upgraded Wing Gundam. It's like the prototype. That's in some way, related to the Talgis, but it's also so powerful that it can, blow up an entire space station, like with, one shot from like the beam cannon, and it's not, Catra gets it at the beginning and just goes nuts with it. It's just kind of there. And it becomes, like the basically the mascot of the series, but the way it's introduced is very, very strange. And yeah, here's the box for this. Again, this looks like a Transformer. I remember I paid probably 15 or more for this from I think Babbage's, when they started doing imports back in like the 90s, because I was just like, ooh, cool, robot. Here's the Ultron Gundam, which I'll say, I don't think the packaging art really does this justice, because this is a really nice, this is, yeah, easily, I'm saying maybe, no, it is easily my favorite of this entire set. And where is the Death Scythe Hell? And it's cool that each one of these comes with like the pilot in like their different look. This one is Duo's like hiding out thing. Duo doesn't get a whole lot of like backstory in the series. He's probably like I'd call him like the main protagonist, because he's the only character that is fun to watch, and also not awful. Awful's a tough word. But I mean, like, why is he dressed like a priest? What is that? The hair thing. All of that stuff. I mean, and it's cool that he's the one who's not just, oh, person saw me, time to kill him. There's a really nice scene where he's like he temporarily blinds someone with like a flare. It's like, don't look over there, don't look at what you're looking at. If you do, we got to do some bad stuff. So just eyes away. Which I after heroes, I'll show up to your birthday party to announce that I'm going to kill you, and then go to class with you like the next day. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So yeah, there's all the upgraded ones, and then just a few more. There's 2 more in this set that we can get to before the end of this thing here, and they are the Gundam Epione, which, look at this thing. Like, what if, Wing Gundam was also a dragon? And Talgis 2. I'm going to talk about Talgis 2. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you suck. Okay, so Talgis 2 here. Again, not to belabor the point, it's $5. Okay, it's $5. It costs less than certain, capsule toys. It is not in any way a rip-off. However, it is just the original Talgis figure, flat out. It is the exact same mold, the exact same runners, with a different sticker sheet and an optional extra head. That's it. They are identical. It is the same everything. They repackaged the Talgis with a new sticker sheet and a new head, and that's it. Which is kind of annoying, because if you take a look at the box art, there are major differences. Blue, 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 blue. Whereas the figure, blue sticker, blue sticker, blue sticker, done. There are no blue stickers for the legs. There are no blue stickers for the boosters. Again, $5, not a big deal. But, this was the last one that I built in the entire set. So having this last one be a, kind of like a popcorn fart was, a bit of a letdown. Like I wish I would have done that one earlier, or maybe even not at all. Some of the other Talgis figures that you can build just let you choose between if you want the Talgis 1 or Talgis 2 color schemes. But, ooh, oh, there we go. Gundam Epione. And again, the series is completely nuts. Like, the Trays just makes this thing and then, like, gives it to the Gundam pilots. And it's just like, no, we're going to fight to the death. And eventually, like, I think Zex gets it for a little bit, and then Hero gets it. And it's just incredibly convoluted. It is an incredibly convoluted show that I don't think really holds up. I mean, it's certainly not a show that I think that kids would have enjoyed back in the 90s, like, because it's very political and it's very, cloak and dagger, but it's not done particularly well. I mean, if it comes out that this series was not, written on the fly, I would be very surprised, because it goes everywhere. Characters kind of change sides and then they change back, and then like new factions are created, but they don't really go anywhere, and like Hero is gonna kill Relina and then he's not, and then it takes a very long time to make the point at the very end of the series where it's like, if we don't have this huge like world war type thing and show people how bad fighting is, we'll never be able to stop fighting, which is an interesting idea that should have been there from the start, but instead it's just like, oh, the bad guys are bad guys, and now they're good, but there's some worse guys, but those guys aren't really bad either. It really does come down to these two, but oh, they're friends, but they're not friends, and they're gonna kill each other. Oh, they're gonna kill each other because doing so will show the world that war is pointless and not great, but there's beauty in combat, and it's just, oh my God, it just goes every way that you wouldn't expect. But I mean, and then one guy gets amnesia, and another one gets like PTSD, and they all have PTSD. And then like the Endless Waltz comes about, and it's okay, we've all got PTSD, but we're okay about this, and this guy's not really this guy, and he's never been this guy, and we knew it, but we called him something, and it's just, the figures are pretty, okay? Again, we're living in a time now where a lot of toys and model kits and stuff are aimed not only at older kids, but at adults. And that is good for me as an adult who, enjoys, higher quality stuff. But it also kind of sucks because, when these figures were released, there absolutely was no doubt that there were kids who would buy these as they were released, and build them and have a good time with them and become fans of the franchise, because they were dirt cheap, especially in the 90s when 500 yen wasn't $5, it was $3.50. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of when adults take over stuff aimed at kids. I've always been a proponent of, if you're an adult and you enjoy a kids show, fine. And if there are little like in jokes and whatever thrown in there for adults to get that kids won't get, that's fine. But I mean, you've gotten to a point now where a lot of stuff, and it's not all Gundam. There's still the shows like Build Fighters or whatever that are aimed at kids, where you kind of like price children out of their own hobby. Like at $5 each, these are great, but now the 1/144 scale stuff tends to start at 20 to 25, and it's no longer like something that you can put together like in an hour or a few hours at home. It's, you know, much more complex. And I'm going to do another plastic model video in the very near future talking about some of the other stuff. But I mean, there was a time, like when these things came out, where on the shelves simultaneously, and I mean, still kind of now, but you could get, you know, the $5 version of the Wing Zero, and a bigger one for, you know, 10 or 15, and then a giant one for, you know, 35, and then like a master grade for, you know, $30, and then perfect grade for 100 and something. And it was all there, you know, stuff for every budget. But now for stuff, you know, Gundam, Transformers seems to be tending this way. Star Wars, certainly, where the main focus tends to be on older collectors, and it doesn't really focus on making new fans. And that is something that these multi-generational franchises used to do, and I mean still do to some extent, but they used to do it really, really well. You had your expensive, you know, Gundam stuff and your cheap Gundam stuff. You know, with Transformers, you had your Transformers animated, and, you know, your classics line and stuff like that. I don't know. Again, I'm probably not the right person to wax on about stuff like Gundam, because it's not my thing, despite the fact that I've bought a ton of it during quarantine, because it's so much fun to build. It's so relaxing and enjoyable, and it's similar to like the feeling of Lego, only more complicated, much cheaper, and, you know, there is an end point. Like if you build like a Lego thing, chances are eventually you're gonna, you know, smash it down into bits and put it somewhere. But I mean, you there's a finished point with Gundam stuff, and I don't know. Like I get all weepy when I think about like multi-generational stuff that, you know, kids can enjoy with their parents. You know, that, you know, mom and dad were Gundam fans as kids, and now, you know, years later, you know, they can enjoy it together. I've seen both of the giant, you know, full-size Gundams in Odaiba, and it was great. You know, parents with their children, you know, showing them, it's like, oh hey, when I was a kid, you know, this and this and this, and the kids, ooh, big robot, and it's sweet. And I hope that doesn't go away. I hope that, you know, going forward, these franchises will still continue to appeal to children and adults, because it's just nice. When you're aiming it, you know, mostly at the older people, it can be hard. I mean, kids like stuff made for older people, but it's kind of a barrier to entry when everything is expensive and complicated, whereas it wasn't. All right, so yeah, that was my look at Gundam Wing. Here's the Gundam Epione box, just to complete the set. I love how he's just holding the beam saber here, like, hey, look what I got. Like he's holding it like a, you know, like a flashlight or what have you. There's beautiful Zex Marquis, who does get one of the best lines in Endless Waltz, where, you know, the piece that he and his friends have worked so hard to get is about to fall apart like a year or two later, and he says that, you know, if people don't, you know, stop, you know, these pointless wars, and they just want, you know, to fight for the sake of it, you know, they'll wind up giving birth to a second Milliardo Peacecraft. You know, of course, he is Milliardo Peacecraft. He's like, like, no one who, you know, no one should have to go through what I did. You know, it's bad for the world. Yeah, all right. So yeah, that's me done talking about Gundam Wing. Until the next time, where I'm going to talk about a ton of just Endless Waltz Wing Gundam Zero custom stuff. And spoiler alert, I love most of it. I know this probably came off as a little bit more negative than I wanted it to, and because of that, I highly doubt anyone is listening to this here at the end. But These cheap figures are great. They are a part of history. They are so much fun to build. They are fun to pose and display. And if you, as an older fan, want to try to get some younger fans into it, these things make great Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, what have you. I've given away a ton of these things to my younger cousins, nieces, nephews, and whatever. Whenever I go back to visit family, I always have like a box of these little plastic model kits to hand out to the kids, and they love them. I get my older family members like, oh yeah, hey, Tommy's still got that robot you gave him back in 2010. Makes me feel nice that they enjoy stuff like that. And I've tried to end this a couple of times before, but that's all. This has been the Hobby Drifter. It is August 11th, 2020, beautiful Tokyo, Japan. We're still going under, we're still, trying to take care of this worldwide health crisis. So, take care, everyone. Be safe. If you're in a position to help other people stay safe, please do it. I will talk at you next time. Take care and happy hobbying.